Way down south in the Caribbean, off the coast of Venezuela, there's a tiny scattering of islands called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They're beautiful islands, warm sea, great beaches, a tourist paradise. Only 106,000 people in all the nation.
We also recognize the importance of carrying on the struggle that have been left by our brothers and our sisters.
Something very important, something very precious happened here a few years ago. A group of young people got together and decided they wanted more power over their own lives. The old colonial ways were too conservative, too restricting, so they formed an organization called the National Youth Council. And, with the help of a few $1,000s from Canada, they developed a concept called work and study. On the work side, they ran adult education classes, publicized the dangers of AIDS and drugs, restored libraries, repaired schools, built parks, cleaned ditches and drains. And while they worked, they studied. They wanted to learn how to empower young people, how to take control of their own lives, how to be responsible for their own actions, how to be responsible for the well-being of others in their communities. The idea spread. Soon, other nations around the Caribbean started their own similar self-help groups. For the past 8 years, some young Canadians too have been learning from the Caribbean experiment. Evelyn Riggs is a co-founder of Youth for Social Justice, a Canadian network which runs work and study camps in the north, in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. It exchanges young people and ideas with the South, the Caribbean.
The whole Youth for Social Justice network starts on a premise that we can all learn from each other. And the idea for the network and the camps comes from the South.
Our very first camp was funded in a limited way by CUSO, which is a Canadian organization.
Our camps here originated from the work-study camp that the National Youth Council has been having for over a decade now. And our network sprung out from that.
I have had the opportunity to be in a number of exchanges, but my most memorable one would have been the one to Newfoundland, because that is an environment that is completely different from mine. I think I would have benefited tremendously, because at the time, whilst I was there, I would have been able to do things that were not done in my community. And so, for example, I would have done newsletter production day, I would have done video production, I would have done news releases.
I also learned with the National Youth Council how very well connected they are with their communities down south. It's something that I think is really important for northern countries to develop and maybe not copy, but do more of, to get involved with their communities.
I've gathered skills in video work, like video taping, video editing, that sort of work, community radio, newsletter production. That particular network would have aided tremendously in my skills in those areas. And additionally, what's important about it is that the skills that you acquire during those networks, they're not sort of monopolized, in that you get an opportunity whereby you share those skills and talents.
Is the area of media training, and we focus on this area because we know we recognize the need for youth to have a medium through which they could communicate to other youth, communicate to also to the adult population on issues affecting youth, and to promote values that are to our liking.
I worked with YSJ for 4 years, and I really saw how much of an impact having direct contact with folks from St. Vincent and from other islands in the Caribbean had on them and their personal lives. They would come back to Canada after being at a work-study camp in St. Vincent and share that experience with so many other youth within Youth for Social Justice, and would show them the videos and would play them the radio tapes that were made in the Caribbean. And it's a domino effect. You know, I think this international work is so important. It's always shared with other people because it has a profound impact on one's life.
It helps you mold you as an individual. It builds your self-esteem, and you look at things differently from when you're experiencing exchanges. And from this, when you get back to your groups, your various groups, you're able to teach from what you have learned.
So I think the personal and the organizational learning that goes on is very much linked because of the friendships I made. I'm much more committed to the Youth for Social Justice Network.
When you belong to a group and you go on an exchange, when you come back, you have so much to share with them because they would be anxious to know what you've learned and how your experiences has been. And I think that I have been able to influence my group a lot.
One of the largest things I think Canada can gain from from supporting these types of youth linkages is that youth here in Canada have the chance to go down south to learn from other cultures, to learn new techniques for different workshops or social issues or different perspectives, to get perspective on the world globally as opposed to just being here in the north and not being aware of how everything in the world works.
Usually it's the other way around. Often, well-meaning people from the developed north fly off to the developing south, with suitcases packed full of solutions to the south's problems. Sometimes the problems of the south are solved. Usually they're not. Sometimes the northerners may learn something from the southerners. Usually they don't. Just maybe, the northerners do some good, and they get out. Mission accomplished. This time, it's different. For a change, we're learning from the South. We're learning how to better our lives and the lives of people around us. All because a group of young people far away in St. Vincent and the Grenadines got together and decided they wanted more power over their own lives.